a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy.
Snowboarding. Snowboarding is a recreational activity and Olympic and Paralympic sport that involves descending a snow-covered slope while standing on a snowboard attached to a rider's feet. The development of snowboarding was inspired by skateboarding, sledding, surfing and skiing. It was developed in the United States in the 1960s, became a Winter Olympic sport at Nagano in 1998 and first featured in the Winter Paralympics at Sochi in 2014. Its popularity in the United States peaked in 2007 and has been in a decline since. History. Modern snowboarding began in 1965 when Sherman Poppen, an engineer in Muskegon, Michigan, invented a toy for his daughters by fastening two skis together and attaching a rope to one end so he would have some control as they stood on the board and glided downhill. Dubbed the Snurfer by his wife Nancy, the toy proved so popular among his daughter's friends that Poppen licensed the idea to a manufacturer, Brunswick Corporation, that sold about 1 million Snurfers over the next decade. And, in 1966 alone, over 500,000 Snurfers were sold. In February 1968, Poppen organized the first snurfing competition at a Michigan ski resort that attracted enthusiasts from all over the country. One of those early pioneers was Tom Sims, a devotee of skateboarding. As an 8th grader in Haddonfield, New Jersey, in the 1960s, Sims crafted a snowboard in his school shop class by gluing carpet to the top of a piece of wood and attaching aluminum sheeting to the bottom. He produced commercial snowboards in the mid-70s. Articles about his invention in such mainstream magazines as Newsweek helped publicize the young sport. The pioneers were not all from the United States. In 1976, Welsh skateboard enthusiasts John Roberts and Pete Matthews developed their own snowboards to use at the local dry ski slope. Also during this same period, in 1977, Jake Burton Carpenter, a Vermont native who had enjoyed snurfing since the age of 14, impressed the crowd at a Michigan snurfing competition with bindings he had designed to secure his feet to the board. That same year, he founded Burton Snowboards in Londonderry, Vermont. The snowboards were made of wooden planks that were flexible and had water ski foot traps. Very few people picked up snowboarding, because the price of the board was considered too high, at $38, but eventually Burton would become the biggest snowboarding company in the business. The first competitions to offer prize money were the National Snurfing Championship, held at Muskegon State Park in Muskegon, Michigan. In 1979, Jake Burton Carpenter came from Vermont to compete with a snowboard of his own design. There were protests about Jake entering with a non-snurfer board. Paul Graves, and others, advocated that Jake be allowed to race. A modified, open division was created and won by Jake as the sole entrant. That race was considered the first competition for snowboards, and is the start of what has now become competitive snowboarding. Ken Kampenga, John Asmussen, and Jim Trim placed first, second and third respectively in the standard competition, with best two combined times of 24.71, 25.02 and 25.41. And Jake Carpenter won prize money as the sole entrant in the open division, with a time of 26.35. In 1980 the event moved to Pando Winter Sports Park near Grand Rapids, Michigan, because of a lack of snow that year at the original venue. As snowboarding became more popular in the 1970s and 1980s, pioneers such as Demetria Milovich, Jake Burton Carpenter, Tom Sims, and Mike Olson came up with new designs for boards. and mechanisms that slowly developed into the snowboards, and other related equipment that we know today. In April of 1981, the King of the Mountain snowboard competition was held at Ski Cooper Ski Area in Colorado. Tom Sims, along with an assortment of other snowboarders of the time, were present. One entrant showed up on a homemade snowboard with a Formica bottom that turned out to not slide so well on the snow. In 1982, the first USA National Snowboard Race was held near Woodstock, Vermont, at Suicide 6. The race, organized by Graves, was won by Burton's first-team rider Doug Bouton. In 1983, the first World Championship haypipe competition was held at Soda Springs, California. Tom Sims, founder of Sims Snowboards, organized the event with the help of Mike Chantry, a snowboard instructor at Soda Springs. In 1985, the first World Cup was held in Zürich, Austria, further cementing snowboarding's recognition as an official international competitive sport. In 1990, the International Snowboard Federation was founded to provide universal contest regulations. In addition, the United States of America Snowboard Association provides instructing guidelines, and runs snowboard competitions in the U.S. today. High-profile snowboarding events like the Winter X Games, Air, and other events are broadcast worldwide. Many alpine resorts have terrain parks. At the 1998 Winter Olympic Games in Nagano, Japan, snowboarding became an official Olympic event. Frances Corinne Ruby was the first ever to win an Olympic gold medal for women's snowboarding at the 1998 Olympics, while Canadian Ross Rebagliati was the first ever to win an Olympic gold medal for men's snowboarding. Initially, ski areas adopted the sport at a much slower pace than the winter sports public. Indeed, for many years, there was animosity between skiers and snowboarders, which led to an ongoing skier versus snowboarder feud. Early snowboards were banned from the slopes by park officials. For several years, snowboarders would have to take a small skills assessment prior to being allowed to ride the chairlifts. It was thought that an unskilled snowboarder would wipe the snow off the mountain. In 1985, only 7% of U.S. ski areas allowed snowboarding, with a similar proportion in Europe. As equipment and skills improved, gradually snowboarding became more accepted. In 1990, most major ski areas had separate slopes for snowboarders. Now, approximately 97% of all ski areas in North America and Europe allow snowboarding, and more than half have jumps, rails and half-pipes. An excellent year for snowboarding was 2004, with 6.6 million participants. An industry spokesman said that 12-year-olds are out-riding adults. The same article said that most snowboarders are 18-24 years old, and that females constitute 25% of participants. There were 8.2 million snowboarders in the USA and Canada for the 2009-2010 season. There was a 10% increase over the previous season, accounting for more than 30% of all snow sports participants. On the 2nd of May 2012, the International Paralympic Committee announced that adaptive snowboarding would debut as a men's and women's medal event in the 2014 Paralympic Winter Games taking place in Sochi, Russia. Styles. Since snowboarding's inception as an established winter sport, it has developed various styles, each with its own specialized equipment and technique. The most common styles today are freeride, freestyle, and freecraft race. These styles are used for both recreational and professional snowboarding. While each style is unique, there is overlap between them. Jibbing. Jibbing is technical riding on non-standard surfaces, which usually includes performing tricks. The word jib is both a noun and a verb. depending on the usage of the word. As a noun, a jib includes metal rails, boxes, benches, concrete ledges, walls, vehicles, rocks and logs. As a verb, to jib is referring to the action of jumping, sliding or riding on top of objects other than snow. It is directly influenced by grinding a skateboard. Jibbing is a freestyle snowboarding technique of riding. Typically, jibbing occurs in a snowboard resort park, but can also be done in urban environments. Freeriding. Freeriding communicates the concept of dynamically altering various snowboarding styles in a fluid motion, allowing for a spontaneous ride on naturally rugged terrain. See also backcountry snowboarding. Freestyle. Freestyle snowboarding is any riding that includes performing tricks. In freestyle, the rider utilizes natural and man-made features such as rails, jumps, boxes, and innumerable others to perform tricks. It is a popular all-inclusive concept that distinguishes the creative aspects of snowboarding, in contrast to a style like alpine snowboarding. Alpine snowboarding. Alpine snowboarding is a discipline within the sport of snowboarding. It is practiced on groomed pistes. It has been an Olympic event since 1998, sometimes called free carving. This takes place on hard-packed snow, groomed runs, and focuses on carving linked turns, much like surfing or longboarding. Little or no jumping takes place in this discipline. Alpine snowboarding consists of a small portion of the general snowboard population that has a well-connected social community and its own specific board manufacturers. Alpine snowboard equipment is a ski-like hardshell boot and plate binding system, with a true directional snowboard that is stiffer and narrower to manage linking turns with greater forces and speed. Shaped skis can thank these free-craft snowboards for the cutting-edge technology leading to their creation. A skilled alpine snowboarder can link numerous turns into a run, placing their body very close to the ground each turn, similar to a motage turn or water ski carve. Depending on factors including stiffness, turning radius and personality, this can be done slowly or fast. Carvers make perfect half circles out of each turn, changing edges when the snowboard is perpendicular to the fall line and starting every turn on the downhill edge. Carving on a snowboard is like riding a roller coaster, because the board will lock into a turn radius and provide what feels like multiple Gs of acceleration. Alpine snowboarding shares more visual similarities with skiing equipment than it does with snowboarding equipment, compared to freestyle snowboarding gear. Slopestyle. Competitors perform tricks while descending a course, moving around, over, across, up, or down terrain features. The course is full of obstacles including boxes, rails, jumps, jibs. Slopestyle contest consists of choosing your own line in a terrain park using a variety of boxes, jibs and jumps. To win a slopestyle contest, one must pick the best and most difficult line in the terrain park, and have a smooth flowing line of tricks performed on the obstacles. Overall impression is also a huge factor in winning a slopestyle contest. The rider who lands the hardest tricks will not always win over the rider who lands easier tricks. Big air competitions are contests where riders perform tricks after launching off a man-made jump built specifically for the event. Competitors perform tricks in the air, aiming to attain sizable height and distance, all while securing a clean landing. Many competitions also require the rider to do a complex trick, but not all competitions call for a trick to win the gold. Some intermittent competitions are based solely on height and distance of the launch of the snowboarder. Some competitions also require the rider to do a specific trick to win the major prize. One of the first snowboard competitions, where Travis Rice attempted and landed a double backflip backside 180, took place at the 2006 Red Bull Gap session.
Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?